Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino, and I'm very excited for our interview, our Survivor recap here today. Let me bring in our guest, of course, that you recognize her immediately with her, of course, all of the colors of the rainbow. And she's here to talk about some new friends that we made from Survivor 44. Please welcome the great Morriah Young. Morriah, how are you?
Hi, I am amazing. So happy to be here and pumped to just dive in.
Yes. Morriah, I'm very excited to talk with you about everything from Survivor 44. We had such a eventful Survivor premiere, and I
Eventful.
love having you here with us to talk about the first episode of a brand new season.
Yes, it was definitely eventful is an understatement. It was like a festival.
It was a festival. Yeah, there was a lot going on. I see that you have a composition notebook. Did you take that from one of your students?
I didn't take it from one of my students. It's a backup that I have for my students that I just use for myself.
Mhm. Yeah,
This
you
is
were
my
telling me before we came on that you took notes for a Survivor episode for the
This
first
was
time.
my very, very first time ever taking notes while watching Survivor, and it's difficult. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
like, how do people that are actual students of the game do this for every episode? Because normally I'm like in it. So I'm like trying to write, trying to look up, trying to write. I'm like looking up, and heads are being bust open, and idols are being found, and I can't even get it all written down. So it was definitely a challenge.
Well, that's very interesting that you mentioned the students of the game who take notes for every episode. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I mean, if I wasn't doing a podcast, I wouldn't take notes. So I have like podcast notes for a Survivor episode. But yeah, what do people write down if they're not doing a podcast about the episode?
I don't know. I just feel like people who call themselves students of the game have a really good mental repertoire of everything that happens in an episode. And I guess in my mind, I believe that they write it down because I'm like, how else do you keep it all in there? Like you have to
Mhm.
like write it down. So maybe I'm the only one that's doing it, but I'm pretty sure that someone else out there who calls themselves a student of the game does it. If I did it for the first time and I'm the only one that has done it, I guess I'm a trendsetter.
Okay, you are a trendsetter. Okay, and I'm excited to have you here to talk about everything. How's everything going? Not Survivor, Morriah.
Oh, everything's going great. I'm planning a wedding, so I'm getting
Okay,
married in July. So
all right. Is there a theme to this wedding? I would have to imagine that based off of like what we see from you on social media, I feel like this is not going to be like a normal wedding.
it definitely is not going to be normal. It's
Hmm.
non-traditional, a little bit of interactiveness that's going to be happening. Definitely,
Interactiveness.
yeah, interactive wedding. Um,
Yes.
my
Is it a
cats are also
surprise, or
going to
you
be
can
a part
tell
of
us?
it.
You said your cast is going to be part of it.
Yeah, my cats are going to be in it.
Oh,
That's
your cats are going to be part of it. I thought like, oh, like Owen and Gabler are
oh
going to be there. Yeah.
no, my fur babies.
Yes. Yes. So the cats are going to be part of the wedding.
Yes, my cats are going to be in it. So it's definitely going to be really interesting. So
Yeah.
be
Wow.
on the lookout for that.
Will you be posting like clues to see it on social media?
I don't think I'm going to post any clues, but I definitely will like do a full recap after the wedding. I want people to be really surprised who are going to be attending my wedding. So I'm keeping a lot of the details under wraps. The big one that I've been giving away is the cats because that gets people like excited and interesting and like, oh, how is that going to happen? So it's like the only
Hmm.
clue I'm giving.
Morriah, if it's not too personal, is your fiance does he have the same passion for all the colors of the rainbow like you do, or is it like an opposites attract situation?
On the inside, I think he's a very colorful person, but not outwardly. I think
Yeah.
we match each other's energy. So he's really upbeat and hype like me. I think that we definitely balance each other out. He comes off cool, calm, and collected, but once you get to know him, you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense.
Okay. All right. Well, Morriah, what didn't make a lot of sense was last night's Survivor, especially the final act that we saw at that tribal council. I did get a lot of answers today in the exit interview that I had with Maddie, who really explained a lot more about what was going on. And it did seem like this tribe had a real like mad scramble going into this first tribal council of the season. Would you say, was that similar to your experience in Survivor 43, or do you feel like that you had like more of a calmer experience than usual?
I think that it was more of a silent scramble than a mad scramble. I think everyone was really scrambling on the inside. But definitely everyone was like working behind the scenes trying to have those conversations because up until tribal council, we were all really like kumbaya, chill, swore we were gonna win the challenge. And then when we got back to camp, we didn't necessarily want to go right into scramble mode.
Hmm.
So we like bonded, made sure that we built our fire up. And then after the fire, we were kind of like, you want to have a conversation? And then like scrambling behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's such a fine line to walk, and I feel like that this is going to be, I think, a fun conversation to talk through about like what is the right level that you should be sort of like actually like planning the contingency for like the worst case scenario versus trying to build tribe unity, because I think that you were a player, and I think about this a lot, where I mean, not like crazy a lot, but going back to your season, and I did like a full rewatch of the season to try to go back through all of the moments with Gabler, because I really wanted to understand, what was there, were there clues along the way that Gabler was going to be the winner of the season? Spoiler alert, there was. But I ended up seeing a lot from you in the first episode, and you famously said, I am here to make friends. And like, while I guess that's sort of like counterintuitive on Survivor, but it's
Yeah.
also the winning strategy of like some of the greatest Survivor social players that there've ever been.
hmm I definitely think if I hadn't have been voted out, if I had have made it to the merge, and if it wasn't for the curse of the M's, I would have won based off of the friendships that I made, and had I gotten to create those friendships with the other tribes. But I didn't get far enough in the game, so I definitely think it's definitely not a science. I think it's more of an art. And I think that the thing that makes it so difficult with Survivor is because there's so many outliers that are not in your control. For example, Gabler getting that idol. That's something that's out of our control that affects
Yeah.
the game, and which is why last night's episode was so juicy because it wasn't solely built off of the control that the players had. It was so many other outliers that came into play, like Lauren going on the journey.
Hmm.
So I definitely think it's more of an art, and you just kind of have to teeter totter on the seesaw and figure it out as you play.
So the new era, of course, is always three tribes of six players. I wonder if the social element of the game, the coming here to make friends, I wonder if that skill set would be, especially at the beginning of the game, much more valuable and important to players who are playing in bigger tribes. Do you think that the smaller tribes hurts that?
Most definitely. I think that the reason why making those bonds and those friendships resonated with me so much is because of how I grew up with Survivor. I grew up with like old school Survivor where the first half of the game was based off building those relationships. And I think sometimes you can get stuck with the older generation and the way it was played that you forget that this generation of Survivor is so much more faster because the tribes are smaller. You can't really rely on relationships as much as you have to rely on strategy and
Yeah.
what makes sense in getting people further in the game. So I definitely think that there's a shift that I didn't take in consideration with the smaller tribes.
Well, I mean, also, how could you have known? I mean, you had
Yeah.
only seen what season 41 and the beginning of season 42.
Yeah.
I wonder if like the social part of the game might be in this current iteration of Survivor. I wonder if the social game is more important at the end of the game, where we saw like the players who ended up winning the last couple seasons like had like like certain like social bonds that really, where in the beginning of the games they kind of like didn't have the greatest like social relationships, and then had like more important relationships at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think this generation of Survivor, people want to play with people that are ready to play, meaning like people want to play with strategists. People want to know, how are you going to get me further in the game? It's not really about whether or not I like you. What are you going to do with me? It's kind of like I scratch your back, you scratch mine. And people are more so worried about Are you writing my name down, or are you willing to write down the name that I want to write down? So I feel like when people bring a plan to you, if you're willing to hop on that plan, that is going to further you more in the game than building a relationship with someone and bonding over the fact that you both have the same favorite food or favorite color.
Right. How cutthroat would you have gotten if you went the distance in Survivor 43?
I think that's why the Lord made sure I got voted out first.
Mhm.
Because I often think about that. I don't know if I would have gotten cutthroat the first time playing. I think if I were to play again, I probably have a much easier time being throat. But I don't know if I went in ready to be cutthroat, because even in my interviews, I was like, no wonder Jeff was looking at me like I was crazy. I'm like, I want to be the light and the hope for my tribe. And now in retrospect, sometimes I like laugh and I'm like, I want to be the light and the hope, but it's such a dark game that I think you have to be willing to be a little bit cutthroat, and you have to be willing to separate real reality from game reality. And I think that for me, drawing that line was really difficult. I wasn't looking at people on my tribe as players. I was looking at them as people. And I wasn't looking at them as like chess pieces and trying to move them and
Yeah.
manipulate them. I was looking at them as trying to build a relationship and work together. And I think that trying to be cutthroat that game, I don't think I would have been able to do it.
Do you think that there's anything different in between the vibe of season 43 and season 44? Because I remember going back to that first tribal council that you were at, where there was a little bit talk of it being a kumbaya tribe. And Jeff has done some interviews like of late talking about in Survivor 44, that these players are like, okay, they are very like much ready to be cutthroat and be ready to play. In season 43 was an anomaly. Do you think that there was like some like I don't know. I just I wonder like if there was something sort of like hey like hey let's really like make sure we're like out of the gate ready to go, because this was like a very cutthroat first episode of the show.
It was. I think that we had similar vibes in terms of everybody stepped on the sand and was like appreciative and really ready to be there. And really excited to have the experience. And I think in this season, everybody is just ready to do strategy. Everybody is just ready to just, even with Claire, like when we saw her sitting out, she's like already, planting the seed on the other tribe. And I think my tribe was just more so infatuated with the fact that we were just like, wow, we get to be a part of this game. We get to be a part of this incredible journey, and we get to do it together. So I think day one, we're similar in terms of like being grateful to be there, but maybe not as strategic, maybe just ready to play, but not ready to be cutthroat out the gate. But that's just me. Maybe
Yeah. Well, I do wonder also if maybe there was like a little bit more just based on like the people that are in the season, like going back to your season, like everybody was for the most part like, hey, like our group of like, even like, okay, let's help this group to knock out the don't ask me to remember the tribe names now from the last season. The Coco, yeah, they have the most people. We're strong. But this season, at least based off of what we saw at this first tribal council, the teams are ready to sort of like work with one another and like defect even quicker.
Yeah, I think that we didn't need to do that in our game so early, because I just feel like the vibe was just different. I also want to take into account that what sent people into game mode this season, I think, was Bruce. I think
Yeah.
it's much different stepping on the game and doing the challenge, and everybody's trying their hardest and nothing happens. But I think for season 44, within the first 5 minutes, again, I'm writing and I'm like opening my note. I didn't even finish writing Survivor. I like started.
Because you were halfway through writing Survivor. You got up to the V.
And someone is injured. That does something to you. You realize how fast the game goes. You realize that you're really there. Whereas though I feel like that injury kind of knocked 44 out of like the facade and the dream. Whereas though we kind of got to relish the moment. We didn't have anything
Wow.
serious like that happen.
What that's a really interesting thought. And now I'm trying to like go through my history banks of like, okay, so you've seen like when you find out so they saw him get hurt, but then he was okay.
Mhm.
But then they find out the challenge that okay, he's gone. I guess it's you could find out like it could be over like that for somebody.
Yeah.
And I guess probably it's similar to Jackson in that where in Survivor 42, like they didn't know Jackson had an injury. But then ultimately they go to the challenge. Yeah, Jackson's gone. And like any of you could be gone at any second.
Yeah, I definitely think it jogs you into wanting to play harder and make the most of the experience. Like I think it's kind of hits you like, wow, I could be going tomorrow. I could be going today. I don't know what's going to happen, so I want to play now. Whereas though I
Yeah.
think with my tribe, we were just trying to soak it in. And even when we step on the sand, like Jeff is just you're just so like Jeff is just so glamorous. You're so excited to meet him, and then he's giving you this speech about take it all in. And so I
Yeah.
think we really held on to Jeff's words. And in the beginning of the game, I think we really were taking it in.
Yeah.
And I think everybody does that when they play, but I just think that it's much different when you're taking it in and then a real life situation happens. Any little thing affects the game. And I definitely think that put people in game mode. I think definitely everybody was like concerned and worried about Bruce's well-being, but then it also just makes you be like, wow, we're really here. We're here to play.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Let me get your take on that first tribal council and that vote in terms of what happened. So I guess let me just get your reaction first.
Let me go to page 3 of my notes. So I don't even know where to begin. But I feel like I have to start with Jamie's shot in the dark because
Yeah.
it just happened to be making history. It happened to be the most successful shot
Yeah.
in the dark that the
The
first
only one.
that has been successful, but she didn't need it. So I saw a lot of like, I even online, I saw a lot of debates with people being like, should she have played it? Should she not have played it? And I don't know if something else happened back at camp, but that really confused me. I was
Yeah.
excited as like a fan to be like, oh my God, it worked. But as uh someone who has played, I was like, oh, but she's not going to have it for later now. And she didn't need it. Because even creating my little Venn diagram, she was like not on my list of people who had a possibility of going home at all. Like going
Did
after
you really create a Venn diagram?
I did, it's really bad.
Wow. Wow. Look at
It's
these notes,
not.
Mariah.
I'm a little embarrassed by it.
No, don't be that. That if you're listening to the podcast, like Mariah's pages
Um,
of written notes. I
but
love it.
um, Brandon and Matt were like the two who were like on my radar after losing the challenge. I was like,
Yeah.
Brandon has way too much power. Everyone saw that he had that immunity idol. And then after Matt dislocated his shoulder, he was just too much of a liability. So after they lost the challenge, they went back to camp. I'm like, it's Brandon or Matt. It's Brandon or Matt. And then once they brought up the fact that like Lauren was being like not truthful, I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So now it's Brandon, Matt, or Lauren. And
Yeah.
then after everyone started scrambling and Maddie brought up the fact that she didn't trust Brandon, I was like, okay, then it's definitely Brandon or Matt. So it ended up going back to where it started. So Maddie, I definitely did not see that coming.
No.
Um at all.
Okay. Can I go back to where you started with Jamie and the shot in the dark?
Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask you about that decision to play the shot in the dark. And what I wanted to know from you is was it ultimately the right move for her? Because that she announced her intention of I'm gonna play the shot in the dark back at the camp. Now I spoke with Maddie this morning, and in the exit interview, Maddie did say that, yeah, Jamie was the person that we wanted, that people were wanting to vote for. And so the episode made it seem like, oh, Jamie's just paranoid. She wants to play the shot in the dark for no reason. But people were saying her name.
As
And she, basically announced her intention of playing the shot in the dark.
which probably
And
made
I don't know if do you think that potentially might have spooked people where they said, hey, well, maybe we won't write Jamie's name because Maddie thought that Brandon was still going to write Jamie's name down. because thinking like, okay, well, like, look, if the shot in the dark hits, like it's a 1 in 6 chance. What are the chances he'll still go in there and write Jamie's name down?
That's interesting. The editing, it changes your perspective of the game, because I don't think watching it at all last night that I have an 1 ounce of like thought of Jamie going home.
Right.
Like as soon as she said I'm going to play my shot in the dark, I was like, is she lying? Why? I was like, what? Like I was so confused. So I definitely think it was the right move. If her name was being tossed around at camp and she caught wind of it, most definitely play it. But I think the fact that we didn't see it on our end, I didn't hear her name get brought up at all.
Yeah.
It made it seem like it was unnecessary. But I definitely think it was the right call if her name was being tossed around. But it's interesting that Maddie brought that to light, because I was confused.
And let me just ask, going back to your tribal council, where Gabler announced that, okay, he had that idol, but he said after, I blew the challenge, I'm just going to play my shot in the dark. And obviously Ellie is like, oh, hold on, Gabler, let's not talk about that. But if Gabler was going to play the shot in the dark, was that actually a concern of like he could play the shot in the dark and it could hit, or
For
was
me,
it?
it was. For me, it was. And that's one of the reasons why I was targeting Owen. Because for me, I was like, Gabler is too much of a wild card. We don't know what he's going to do. He could play his shot in the dark. He could play his idol. He's acting like he's giving up. And to me, the most dangerous people are in the game are the ones who are acting like they have nothing to lose. So I didn't even want to like mess with Gabler, because I was like, all he has to do is play his shot in the dark, he's safe, bam. All he has to do is play his idol, he's safe, bam. So I wanted to go after someone who I knew for sure wasn't playing their shot in the dark or didn't have any kind of advantage in the game.
As an aside, though, I really want to know, like, when you eventually, like, got wind of, whether it was before the show aired or like as it was airing, like, was there a little bit of like, I told you so. Come on, like, y'all admit it, y'all made a mistake.
For Gabler,
in terms of, hey, you voted out me and you lost to the person you kept around.
No. And I'm going to be honest. No, I'm genuinely not that type of person. I'm the type of person who's really like, at the end of the day, I think everybody happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I'm like, this was just not my season. Like Jeff's going to bring me back on season 48, 49. 50.
We'll come back to that. Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet, y'all. This is just me manifesting out loud.
Yeah, your word is your wand. Yes.
But no, I definitely didn't feel that way. But I definitely felt like it was the curse of the M's. And I have another Venn diagram here.
Okay. I promise we're gonna talk about the curse of the M's. We're gonna get to it.
I'm ready to get to it, Rob.
We have so much to get to, Morriah.
Okay.
The other thing with Gabler, though, was that I did feel like that when I watched your season back, that I kind of felt like that you and Gabler, like, kind of I felt like had a similar view of the game of like, hey, I want to work with the people that I want to work with, or that I can trust. And it was a shame. I thought that you ended up on the different sides of things, because I kind of felt like that you both had similar like overviews of how the game should go.
And I do think, I'm trying to remember if this was in episode 1 or if it was cut out. I think it definitely was in there. Gabler definitely did approach me at one point, and I was just trying to, again, keep that tribe unity. Like I did not want to start having like any kind of, the way I went into the game, I think, is I really wanted us to have a winner's mindset. Like I'm like, we need to just be focused on winning challenges right now. And I think that was a part of my demise, because Gabler definitely did approach me. And I think that we honestly probably could have worked well together and been a really strong alliance had I like taken his proposition and went with him. I definitely think that could have happened. So that definitely is on me and not on Gabler, because I think that he definitely sniffed out that I had the
Yeah.
same kind of mindset as him.
Like my takeaway on him was that, he was so much like, and he loves like soldiers, and it's like, this is my team, my arm, my group, and I can't turn against that. But like once they cross me, yeah, like anything goes. But like I felt like that he was very much into like building up, wanting to stay team strong, and I felt like that you had like a similar sensibility.
Definitely. I think it was also another reason why I didn't go with Gabler is because I had already made that alliance with the girls. And
Hmm.
it kind of becomes the thing, if you let everybody
Yeah.
into your alliance, it's no longer an alliance.
Right.
So I was trying to stay true with the girls. And then Sammy was also like the person who I wanted to work with, my number one. So already that's 4 people.
Yeah.
2 people have to
Okay.
be on the
Well,
bottom.
Morriah, this is a great segue to get back to this tribal council, because I feel like that Maddie similarly felt like,
Mhm.
okay, I want to work with the women, and there's one guy here, Kane, that I have
Mhm.
also a good rapport with, that I want to work with. And I just think it's so important for, and I know there's always where, oh, women's alliance, like it gets like overblown, but I really do feel like that on these small tribes, and we saw it in your season, that I really think that the women do need to vote together on that first vote, that you could do whatever you want with the second vote. But I think
Yeah.
that it's really important that the 3 women in the tribe vote together.
I do, and I don't think that people do it on purpose. I just think it is innately easy for us to like look at the tribe, and when you just think about tribe
Hmm.
strength, naturally, because of the years and years of Survivor, you think about strong men. And it takes a lot of like rewiring of the brain for you to be able to be like, actually, women can be strong too. I think that because year after year after year, season after season after season, we've seen strong tribes, or the tribes who've been defined as strong. And I really didn't mean to do air quotes, but we've seen we've seen these tribes be defined as strong tribes. They've had a lot of like big burly men on them. And so I think it's naturally easy for us to go back to the place to be like, well, we can't get rid of any of the men. And so I
Hmm.
think that the first way to break that is by getting rid of one of the men, winning a challenge, and then building up that steam. And then again, doing what you want to do for the second vote.
It just seems like that, and we'd have to probably do like some more research into this, where it feels like that if the first person to go home in the 6-person tribe is a woman, probably the second person that goes home in the 6-person tribe is also going to be a woman. And it seems like that it's just like it snowballs
Yeah.
a lot of times. And so I feel like that you don't necessarily have that, where if the first person who gets voted off is a man, like I think that's like, oh well, should we vote off another man, or vote off one of the women? It just seems like that it's the kind of thing. And in your season, like it's oh well, they voted off a woman, maybe like okay, that has been already like, okay, that's something it just builds on itself and snowballs. So it's really one of the things I don't like about the 6-person tribes. Like I think that this
Yeah.
would not be as much of an issue in an 8-person tribe, in a 10-person tribe,
Yeah.
9-person tribe, but 6, I think it's so front and center.
And I also think that in the smaller tribes, it's hard not to focus on challenges. When you
Hmm.
have the bigger tribes, so many other I feel like when you have the bigger tribes, it's about winning challenges, it's about building relationships, and it's about strategy. When you have the smaller tribes, you're just like, we have to win the next challenge because there's so few of us. So you have no choice but to have the mindset of keep this tribe strong. But when you have a big tribe and you have a variety of different people with a variety of different skill sets, it's easy to be like, actually, my vote tonight is for a person who I don't trust. My vote tonight is for a person who is on board with the plan that I have. Or my vote is because this person completely botched the challenge. But you don't have any other choice but to rely on
Hmm.
tribe strength. That time the air quote was meant tribe strength when you have a smaller tribe.
Morriah, I want to get your take on the new twist that we saw in the game, this birdcage with. Do you have anything in your notebook about the birdcage idol?
I do, and I called it the rusty bird cage as well. That was called the bank for your vote, I think. Oh, bank your vote and the inheritance advantage.
Well, that was at Shipwheel Island. Those were
you're
the
right.
yes.
You're talking about the orange medallion.
Yes, with the bird cage that was at the camps.
Brandon fudged up like an overcooked brownie.
Yes.
And he should
How
have
so?
took Natty up on the offer because you don't know what it is. Don't share something when you don't know what it is. You don't know what it is. Like
Yeah.
you don't know what it is. So even if you had said, let's open it up first and see what it is, then make a decision on what you're gonna, because then you would have found out, oh, there's an extra medallion that we can use as a fake title. But because you shared it with the rest of the tribe before knowing what it was, now that medallion is pointless. You can't use it at all until you get to the merge. But even by then, other people on the other tribe who have opened it up are gonna know what it was. So
yeah,
I understand that he didn't trust her, but that could have been a key moment to build trust, because if you do it together, now we're tied, now we're in this, now you don't have a choice but to trust me and I don't have a choice but to trust you. And so I understand he didn't trust her, but that would have been a key moment for him to build trust with her. So
I agree with you. I think that he mishandled that situation. Now, especially in, you're in the new era, and we know that so many of these advantages at camp have always been the beware advantage, which comes with like a punishment. So for him to, hey, everybody get over here, I'm about to open this, like, what, he doesn't know what's in there. It could,
and also putting a target on your back.
Right. It could say, okay, here's an idol, but you have to get the beads from everybody, and then also you lost your vote, and it's like, you're giving away a lot of your power.
That's one of the things that the new era of Survivor has been frustrated for me, being a fan of the game, is nobody can keep their stuff a secret. Nobody can keep.
Morriah, would you have kept everything a secret?
Huh?
You would have kept everything a secret?
Yes, I would have kept everything a secret. I would have kept everything a secret unless there was like a pivotal reason to share it with someone. It's like, why? Like, why? Like, because I also believe once you share your advantages with someone, you are in debt to them. Like you're in debt to them. I just feel like once you tell them what you have, you are like their little puppy dog. It's like, I know you have this. I don't like the feeling of like, you're like that credit card company that can like keep bringing my score down. It's like, no, I don't want you to be knowing what I have. You have more freedom when you keep those things a secret than you do when someone knows, because now you got to tiptoe now. And then also it opens the window of, once you tell one person something you have, now you have to tell them everything, because it's like, well, now when you keep something from them, that's creating distrust. So now you've opened the door to telling them things. And so when they find out that you didn't share this, it's kind of like a new relationship. It's like, why didn't you tell me you were hanging out with this person? It's like, you got to share. You're in a relationship now with the person.
Right.
You got to tell them everything.
Yeah. You basically got a soft launch the alliance. Was it a soft launch or a hard launch of the alliance?
Oh, it's a hard launch. Once you share the advantage, it's a hard. You went public. You've done an Instagram post. You are in a committed relationship once you share your advantage with someone.
Yeah. So for Brandon though, but I kind of feel like that it all worked out, I think, okay for him. Like, I don't want to be results oriented about it too much, but like at the end of the day, like, got Maddie out of the game. He had a target on his back. Target is off his back, and we wonder, like, is an idol going to be re-hidden at this tribe?
I think so, most definitely. First of all, I think that if any chance that Survivor has to put something back in the game, it's going back in the game. Like that's
you don't even have to play the inheritance advantage.
Even in the opening, Jeff was like, we've been doing this game for 22 years, we're shaking it. He wants to shake things up all the time. And I think that the difference also between old Survivor and new Survivor was, old Survivor, I felt like you had more control.
Sure.
This era, I feel like, is left a lot up to chance. Like, you do have a lot of things in your control, but there's just some things, even going back to like the hourglass, like a lot of things like those are just like, if certain elements weren't thrown in the game, certain things wouldn't have happened. So I think that there's a balance between like things that are in your control and things that aren't. That makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I do think that that is part of the DNA of the show. And I think it even goes back to the casting, where I think a lot of people say, like, well, why are there no villains that are cast anymore on the show? And really, that I think that they go out of their way to cast like 18, like very likable people. And then basically the whole thing is like set to random, where anybody that they put on the show, like any combination of people, could be the last couple of people. And they feel like, hey, we feel good about anybody from this group, any 4 people that get to the end, we feel like we're going to have a good show. Let's make it completely random, where maybe way back when the show might have been cast as like, okay, well, these are probably going to be cast to be like the heroic people on the show. And these are sort of like the people that are going to be the obnoxious jerks who get voted out early and have no shot to win. And
I definitely think that's just, I am not opposed to that. I like watching Survivor and being able to have multiple people to root for. Like, I want people playing who deserve the win.
Yeah.
And so when you have a group of people, like I kind of get into like my Issa Rae bag, and I'm like, I'm rooting for everybody black. Only like I'm rooting for everybody that's on Survivor. You know, it's kind of just like, it feels good watching. Equally as it does hurt seeing people get voted off, it feels equally good watching 3 people get to the end and you're just like, wow, all 3 of you played a good game. That's what it's about. Why do you want people playing the game who don't honor it, or who you don't want to win, or who don't respect it? That's just not a good feeling. But again, that's just personal opinion.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm with you on the casting. I have no issue with, casting all these great people for the show. I think it's been one of the strengths of Survivor in the last few years. But it's the randomness that is a little harder to get my head around, especially because we spend so much time trying to predict what's going to happen next. And really, we come on here, we have a good time, we do our best, but at the end of the day, it's like, who knows?
Yeah, it really definitely is like it's like a who's who game. Like I said, like Maddie was not on my Venn diagram at all. But it definitely goes back to, at the end of the day, Survivor is a social experience about building relationships. But what happens to those relationships when you throw in so many different elements? It's also one of the things I think it makes it enjoyable to watch, because I think that people kind of like watching people turn evil. I just think it's interesting for people to watch people turn bad, people backstab. I mean, like, what makes reality television so juicy? It's like, ooh, like, look at this. The arc of the person started off so good, and then they did that. But it also is what makes
Imagine Morriah becoming a villain.
Could
you imagine? People are like, oh, I'm going to work with Morriah. I would love to work with you. I feel like, okay, Morriah, I feel good about Morriah.
My healing experience, like literally 2 things I felt after being voted off of Survivor, is I felt really sad. Like, I really wanted to be with my tribe, and I felt really guilty for writing Owen's name down. Like, me and Owen's first conversation in the real world was just me apologizing to him, and he didn't even go home. So I'm like, I can only imagine how much of a wreck I would have been if Owen had have actually went home instead of me. I would probably like be in a therapist's office right now with a box of tissues talking about how I ruined his life. Like, I'm so sorry, put your name down, even though I was the only one. I'm just like, it's ridiculous. So I don't know. Definitely would have been a healing process.
Listen, maybe you managed to avoid some of that guilt. Imagine how many people, if you would have voted out a bunch of people.
Yeah, I have an easy guilty conscience. Like, it's bad.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Curse of the M's. Okay. All right.
Finally.
Yes. All right. Well, this first came to my attention before I got to watch your season. Back when I did my 5-hour deep dive with the great Marianne Okich. We talked about, we talked about, she said, hey, I'm going to tell you about something. And it's called the Curse of the M's. And I said, what's the Curse of the M's? I've never heard about this. Morriah, could you reset what the curse of the M's is?
So when I heard about the curse of the M's, my first thought was like, this is super cool, but it can't be true. When I got voted off to make myself feel better about myself, I jokingly said, I'm going to blame it on the curse of the M's, which then prompted me to do my own research and found out that it's actually true. So what Miriam was saying was, I think some people get confused and they are viewing it as the first tribal council that ever happens. If you have the letter M, you go home. That's not what she was saying. She was saying if you are on a tribe and you are the only person on your tribe who has the letter M, the first time your tribe goes to tribal council, you will be the first one to go home. It doesn't matter if it's the first tribal council, the second tribal council, the third tribal council. The first time you go to tribal council, you're the only person, you're going to go home. Then she was saying she was worried about herself being voted off because it was between her and Morriah. And she's like, it's one of us because it's two of us. And so that's when Morriah went home. And so I went back, did the research.
Color coded. Yes. Can you hold that up? Let me go. I'm going to go full screen on to see. We'll see what you have. Okay.
It's color coded by the tribe color, the color of the tribe per season. So like Manano was orange and so on and so forth. Okay. But I went back for season by season, and not only I want to build on to Marianne's theory, and then I have a new theory, like a part 2. So not only does it happen with women, she was also saying it was women. It happens to men too. So it starts in season 1, Guatemala. It is Morgan who goes first.
It's season 11. Yes.
Sure. Yes, I'm missing a 1. Thank you. Well,
we'll get emails. Yeah.
Yikes. Edit that out. Season 12. It's Misty.
Yes.
16. Here's where it changes. Mary went home first. And then their second tribal council, it was Mikey. And so it's not just the first person who goes home. If it's 2 people on the tribe who has the letter M, and the first person gets voted off, and there's 1 more person left, the second tribal council, they go home.
Yeah. And
it goes on and on and on. And this happened twice. Season 19, Samoa, Marissa got voted off first. Their second tribal council, Mike got voted off.
Yeah, now, he got medically evacuated, but I guess that can count too.
That's a part of the curse. So here's where it gets crazy. This is now my own personal theory. So I definitely, I'm taking full credit, ownership rights in case, for whatever reason one day. The curse is if you have the letter M and your first tribal council, you'll go home. If it's 2 people on the tribe, the second time you go to tribal council, you go home. No matter what, your name starts with an M, you're going home back to back, unless, here's my theory, the blessing of the M's. If you don't go home the second time, your tribe goes to tribal council and your name starts with the letter M, then you win.
And you win.
Mary Ann and
broke the curse. Yeah.
Their season, Morriah got voted off. Mary Ann wins. My season. It was between me and Mike.
Oh, I didn't even remember Gabler had a first name.
Mike Gabler. That's his name. I went home and Mike won. Now, season 44.
See, and everybody is like, oh, it's the bitter jury. No, it was Morriah.
It was between who?
It was the curse of the M's.
It was the curse of the M's. It was between Maddie and who else, Rob? Matt. He dislocated his shoulder. He was a liability. He was so close to going home. It was between him and Maddie. Maddie went home, which means he is either going home next, or I'm saying it now, he is winning. And if he wins, I'm going to coin this theory of the blessing of the M's. I'm coining it myself. Wow. So we'll see. I could be wrong.
What if he gets voted out next? Then is it more of the curse of the M's?
Then it's the curse of the M. If he gets voted out next, it's the curse of the M. Either if your name starts with an M, you're either going home first or second, or you're winning the game.
What if that injury that he suffered? What if they say, you know what, this is not looking too good. We got to pull you from the game.
The curse of the M's is real, which brings me to again. In the beginning of this interview, that's why I said I would have won. If Mike would have went home, I would have won. And I'm sticking to that. Mm-hmm. If Mike would have went home, I would have won. What if I would have played my shot in the dark? Mike didn't play his or his idol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Just very,
Morriah, has anybody ever beaten the Curse of the M's? Has anybody
I
ever?
have not conducted that research
Okay.
yet.
All right.
I don't think so, but let me do the research.
I gotta think somebody with an M survived the pre-merge tribal council.
Well, yes, if their tribe never went to tribal council. So you
but what if they did go to tribal council?
You just have to keep winning challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the loophole is if you have an advantage or an idol, then maybe you can beat it. But I have to conduct that research. I'm gonna open this up to the masses, whoever wants to help with that research.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work. But I haven't conducted that research.
I do think that there have been players that start with the letter M that have survived a tribal council.
Definitely.
In the pre-merge.
I think you might be right, but I think I have to conduct that research.
Okay.
Maybe and then the second part of that is also how did they survive? What happened? Like, did they have an advantage? Maybe they won a reward. Maybe they ate a certain amount of fish or coconuts. I don't know.
We don't know what the antidote is. We have to study this.
We don't know what the antidote
we have to study this.
We definitely have to study it, or maybe a certain tribe color, because I don't have green on here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
You gotta see.
Wow. I mean, I applaud your research. This is really incredible. Like, I'm going through in my head, like I'm struggling.
But can you, like, if Matt wins, there's no denying it.
No denying it, for sure.
There's no denying the curse of the M's and the blessing of the M's. And if Matt goes home by way of losing a challenge and then going to tribal council again, and it's not just the next. To be clear, like, if his tribe wins and they don't go to tribal council, that's not the curse. That's the next time his tribe goes to tribal council. So they can win 2 more challenges and then lose, go back.
What about a swap? Does a swap save them?
That might be the antidote.
But I don't think they do swaps anymore.
I don't think they do swaps anymore either.
Okay, well, good. This was great. You've really built on the research that Marianne started.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm going to start a club too.
Yes, with all the other M's.
On Mondays.
Yes. Will the winners be invited to the club, or?
Yeah, just so that they could give us, tips and tricks,
Yeah. In all seriousness, have you reached out to Maddie?
Yeah, I did. I'm waiting for her to get back to me, but I told her that it's a lot more cozier over here than it looks.
Yeah.
But I love her, and I definitely think that she played a really strong game. I think that she had really good intuition and was also very aware. Like, I think sometimes people play the game and it's really easy to think you have good awareness until you're actually in it. But like, even the fact that she knew that Brandon had already found the idol and pocketed it, like, that's really good, because there's so much going on when you're out there. Like, you could get distracted by a bird freaking chirping or the grass blowing in a certain direction, or be so in tune with trying to find the idol yourself you don't notice someone picks it up. So I think that she was really, really good at that. So yeah.
Was there anybody from the alumni who reached out to you that you felt like was really helpful, really like went like above and beyond to like reach out to you and make sure that you were doing okay when you were the first person voted out on your season?
It's a ton. Like, definitely Bryce and Wen.
Yeah.
I feel like they really.
Well, you're part of the Philly family.
I am a part of the Philly family now. I'm so happy. I feel like Philly is finally on the map for Survivor. It feels really good. And I definitely think like Jerv and Ramona put us on the map, but there was like a little bit of a gap with us not being here, and now I feel like we're back on the map, so it feels good. But definitely Bryce and Wen, they just go above and beyond to not just make me feel like a part of the family, but to just be welcoming to everybody. Lauren Ashley Beck was really incredible. Chanel was really incredible. It was a lot of great alum who like reached out, and even Morriah from last season reached out.
Oh,
so it was really, really nice to hear from some of the alum and to get that love. Surprisingly, it was a lot of recent alum. So that felt good because I felt like they were able to connect with my experience, maybe a little bit more than some of the old school players, just because we play closer to the same version of the game. So it was nice to hear from them.
Do you find that there's a little bit of a disconnect between a lot of the older generation of Survivor players and the new era Survivor players?
A little bit. I think that there's definitely love there, but I think just like if you're like in your 30s and your parents have another kid, like there's going to be a disconnect. You're going to be looking at them like, "Mom and Dad, you didn't let me, go to the mall when I was 13 with my friends, and I wasn't allowed to have a cell phone." So I think, of course, there's this pride that comes with being an old school player. Like, we are the originators, we're the OGs. And then it's kind of just like even down to like, we didn't get that many pairs of underwear. So I think that there's definitely a little bit of a disconnect, but there's still love there. You just kind of, it's different in a way.
Because I feel it too. I really do, because I feel like that between like the everything with the new era, but also with after Winners at War, there being the year and a half off from Survivor. I feel like that almost everybody in the new era keeps up with the show, is on top of what's going on, and I feel like it's a very small percentage of like all of the people, like 600 people that played in the old era. Like, how many of them even, like, people like, can you get this person? I'm like, I don't think they watch the show. Like, I don't think they're going to come on and they're not even going to know what this show is anymore.
I think it's tough. I think it definitely, A, had a lot to do with COVID. And then B, I just think it has a lot to do with the changes. I think change is hard no matter where the change is happening, whether it's happening in the world or in the game of Survivor. Even for me, being a new school player, I still miss a lot of the old school things. Like, I'm so happy that I get the chance to play. Would play again in a motherfucking heartbeat, but I miss the 39-day format. Like, that is something that I was kind of sad that changed, even as a new school player. I'm like, dang it, I want to suffer longer. Like, even though I got voted out first, laugh out loud. But like, that's something that I miss. So I definitely think that it's hard when you live and breathe something and then change comes about. It just makes you miss it, and it's hard to face it or to want to be a part of something that you took so much pride in and has transformed so much. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it has transformed in a bad way. You just kind of miss the old stuff, and I think that's natural.
Yeah, I don't mind the 39 days or going down to 26 days. Like, I sort of like understand like why the stuff like makes sense. Like, this stuff that's like, okay, like I can wrap my head around why they had to do that. Maybe this isn't like the most preferred way to do, even though like if you listen to Jeff, he'll say like, no, creatively, this is better. But I understand why that makes sense to like do the shorter season, especially with COVID and quarantine. So to me, that makes sense. It's like just some of the other stuff that they do that like I can't understand why they do it that way. Is more of the stuff, but I digress. Let me talk about. Okay, did you happen to catch the brand new Jeff Probst official Survivor podcast, On Fire?
I did. I know about it. I heard about it. I plan to tune into it. I have not yet. So I didn't catch it, but I am throwing out the rod.
All right. So Jeff, and I thought it was really interesting. Jeff talked about, he is on with another producer, and that they are talking about like a lot of like the behind the scenes stuff and some of the decisions that they make. And, I think it's very, very interesting to like get some of those, because we rarely get these types of conversations and like answers to these types of questions. One of the things they talked about was like, how did you know exactly 4 hours? And, how did you want to like show the birdcage in the episode? But one of the things they did was Jeff talked about Bruce, and Jeff really, really loved Bruce, was very sad about Bruce being the person to go home. And Morriah, I don't know if you know this, but Jeff officially announced that Bruce has an open invitation to return to any season.
I did, and I saw it was all over the Twitter. I am all for it. I'm so happy for it. Again, it's one of those things where you sacrifice so much to prepare to play the game. And to be out that fast, that quick, it's really heartbreaking. Like no matter where you're watching from, whether you were on the beach with him or at home, it really just breaks your heart. And so I'm all for giving him another shot. I'm all for a season of everybody who's had to leave for like medevacs or have gotten sick or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be an incredible season. It's just one of those things where I think everyone feels really good about it. I don't think anybody is against it, but I was excited when I heard about it. I'm like, yes, Bruce. I made a post yesterday and I spoke too soon because Bruce like bust open his head and I was like freaking out. I was like, no! And then when they were like, he's okay, he can continue to play, I like made a tweet and I was like, don't scare me like that. And then like 15 minutes later, he was gone and I was like, oh my
This didn't age well. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't age well at all. So I'm happy that they're bringing Bruce back, and I'm all for bringing back other people who've had to be injured. I think that'd be out. I have so many. I have like a playbook of different seasons that they should have. They should have a season with people who've had medevacs. I'm waiting for my first boot season. I'm getting ready to send another letter to Jeff about that. I'm just kidding. I haven't sent that letter out, but like a pre-merge.
Maybe you should. They have the new Survivor email address.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. Let me pop open my laptop after this interview and type away. But I'm all for it. I think it's really cool, and I think that that's another thing that I miss the themes. Like I love that they kind of have like it's stationed at Fiji. I think that that's cool. I'm not against it, but I do think a lot of people miss like what it was like David versus Goliath and Bronze versus Brains versus Beauty. And when they had like those themes and the reveal of it, you just kind of was always thinking like, oh, what is the season going to be? Red collar versus blue collar versus no collar. It was like so interesting and seeing the tribe dynamics and even breaking down, trying to figure out why did they put which people on which tribes, like that was really cool. And so I think that's something that having a theme again would be really, really cool. Maybe 3-tribe format, first boots versus medevacs.
Versus what?
I got to think about it. I got to think about it. Winners? No.
Yeah, well, I feel like that
not fair enough.
it's a little bit of like a stacked deck of like, these are people that win against the tribe people that couldn't get through the first tribal council. Like, I kind of feel like, sort of like a second chance season. I don't know. But anyway, I think we can work on it. Yeah.
It's a working pitch.
Yeah. I think you could even do something like that where it's like versus like super fans, where it's like the people that like, okay, these are the people that they got out the first tribal council. These are the people the people that got medically evacuated, and then here are the people who they've never played, but they know that they're like
students of the games versus first boots versus medevacs. Whoa.
Sure.
Tell me that.
You'd have to work out a good name for that, I think. That's how you get into like heroes versus healers versus hustlers.
I'm not on the production team.
But I think there's something there. I think there's something there for sure. I agree. Let's talk a little bit about the puzzle or the savvy versus sweat. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but your tribe had to complete the savvy portion of actually you got a choice, right?
We had a choice. We chose savvy together. And I think the other thing that was new is it wasn't what we chose the other tribe got.
Yes, that was new.
Had the same choice.
Yes. Okay. And I think I like this improvement. So Ratu, and this was not a great night for them. They made a poor choice, right?
Yeah. It was. I think. Let me go back. Ratu did the coconuts. Right?
They did the coconuts.
Yeah. Ratu did the coconuts, but they got it done. So I will say that. But I think that I did understand their choice. I think that Brandon was trying to play to his strength, and Matt really wanted to prove himself. So I think that they thought they were making the right choice in the moment, and I could understand it wasn't completely asinine, but I just don't think that they thought through all the variables. Like you're giving a savvy challenge to a team full of,
Right.
brainiacs. Like maybe not
Yeah.
the best
And it
choice.
didn't seem like it was that tough of a challenge,
Yeah,
ultimately, the Savage Challenge. I think that the 15 minutes freaked them out. I think it was
yeah,
like, oh, we only have 15 minutes? Oh my God. We can't forget it.
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
out.
I think I was a little intimidated to do the savvy challenges because also you don't know what it's
Yeah.
gonna be. You're just kind of
Mhm.
like, uh-oh, like, and then I think also something that nobody ever talks about. I think the other thing about the savvy challenge that makes it a little bit scary is you also don't want to look like an idiot on national television. Like you're just like, okay, if I get tired and I pass out, everybody gets tired and gets passed out. But like you don't want to be the person on screen trying to figure out a savvy puzzle and everyone screaming at the television telling you you're an idiot. So I think
Mhm.
that a little bit of pressure comes into play with that choice too.
Something that I think that has happened in the new era where the people that do the sweat challenge, it we've seen it a few different times now. And the two guys that do the sweat challenge, they end up like, with the exception of Voce and Xander,
Mhm.
like and they kind of were these guys end up pretty locked in after that.
Dante,
We
which
saw
is
it with
also
Danny and Deshaun. We saw it with
surprising that
Gio and
they didn't
Ryan.
get a target on their back because
Yeah.
I was also thinking that was another variable that I was in. Oh, I think I definitely did put it in my notes, and I think I put something specific too. I said I said rat two. Brandon and Matt choose sweat, immediately isolating themselves. Like I'm just like this is the first moments of you
Mhm.
getting to know your tribe, and now the whole tribe is bonding without you. But I don't think that came into play. Surprisingly, I think everybody was really like gracious and happy that they did it. So I don't think it ended up crashing down on them unless we didn't see it. But I don't know
Well, I
if
mean, I think
anyone
from
beat them
Maddie's
in the duo.
perspective, like I think she thought like, okay, well, like I can put this together. The four people who aren't doing the sweat challenge. I mean, that was what her group was that she thought was potentially going to vote together
Mhm.
against Brandon. But it is interesting to watch out for where it's like, don't think anybody should be picking this way. Yeah, you end up with I don't know, like I'm talking myself into circles, Morriah,
Yeah.
because
I
like,
think
is
it's
it
also
better?
different because only two people could complete it. For ours, we did it together as a tribe. So I think the other
Mhm.
choice was you work on a savvy together or two people complete this sweat challenge alone. This time, I think no matter what you got, only two people could do it.
Yeah.
So that's interesting choice too.
Mhm. Yeah. But really, to do the sweat challenge, it seems like that really also took a lot out of like both of these guys. I mean, I don't know if maybe Matthew fell off the rocks. I think you could maybe make a point of like that. Okay, maybe if he's at full strength, he doesn't fall from the rocks.
Or
And then
Brandon in
Brandon,
the
yeah,
chat.
Brandon had to get medically checked out at the
Yes.
challenge.
That's so true. I didn't even put two and two together with the coconuts, but I definitely think there's a correlation between Matt getting hurt and Brandon passing out at the challenge with them exerting that much
Hmm.
energy on. And again, even in the first couple of hours, you don't even realize how much of you going and going is just pure adrenaline. It's no
Yeah.
food, it's no water. Like even for me, the first day, I remember forcing myself to drink water. I was surprised at how much I wasn't thirsty. Like I was thirsty during the challenge, but then once you get that water, you're good, but you forget like you're exerting all this energy. You kind of actually have to drink more. So yeah, I definitely think that it played a part in both of them getting injured.
Yep.
Nobody else on their tribe got injured, I don't think.
No. Morriah, so all right, we've talked a lot about Ratu. We haven't really talked about the other tribes. Okay. So Bruce's former tribe is the Tika tribe. I would love to just talk a little bit about what you're seeing there. The Tika tribe, of course, is Carolyn, it's Helen, it's Sarah, it's Jam Jam, and it's Carson.
Well, the first thing I have underneath the Tika tribe is my favorite quotes from Jam Jam. Um,
Yes.
what if it's candy in there when he gets to the idol, and the other tribe is still dragging coconuts? So
Hmm.
clearly those were my two favorite things. I definitely think Carson and who was it, Helen, that completed the puzzle,
Yes.
they're definitely going to be, I feel like, a dynamic duo if they keep it up because they both seem like two people who are again, similar to
Yeah.
me and Gabler, where they're focused on being loyal. I also think that Carson's strategy was interesting, how he kind of downplayed the fact that he didn't want to be the one to complete the puzzle. I think that that was really smart of him, because
Hmm.
had they failed it, I think that more of the blame would have been
Oh,
put
the
on
puzzle
Ellen.
guy. Yeah.
I thought that that was really strategic. And again, it's those, I think those small strategic things are what separates the good players from the great players, because you are literally thinking ahead every scenario, like the smallest choice to downplay it and be like, okay, so if we lose, the heat isn't
Hmm.
going to be on me because I wasn't the one who stepped this to the plate.
Well, I
So
think
downplaying your
yeah.
strengths.
Right. If you're that guy, if you're the Carson, I think there's also like an impulse to say, like, oh, okay, put me in because I want to contribute. I want to give the tribe a reason to make sure that I'm not like that, like, hey, don't just toss me aside because I have value.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but I feel like, Zach in season 42, I think wanted to be on the puzzle, and I'm not sure if it was, who was ultimately responsible for it, but ultimately, when they lose that challenge, I think people are looking at him.
Yeah, and again, I think this also plays to tribe numbers. I think when you're on a bigger tribe, it's a better strategy to want to prove yourself. But when you're on a smaller tribe,
Hmm.
I think that it's better to just kind of downplay your strengths. That way the blame doesn't fall on you.
Hmm.
So I think that it worked to his advantage. I think they ultimately, and then I also think it plays to his advantage by figuring it out, because then people are surprised and impressed with you. And I think it's way better to under promise and over serve than it is to, even sometimes when
My
you,
philosophy on life, Morriah.
yes, I think, not mine, I should probably adopt it.
Hmm.
I tend to overpromise. But I think that it still works, because then people are like pleasantly surprised and want to keep you around to see what else you can do. Because even
Hmm.
when you tell people what your strengths are and you meet that, you like meet that requirement, then that's what they box you in. That's the only thing that they seem to remember you by. So I think that if you're like, I'm really good at puzzles, you keep preaching it, people are going to think, well, you're only good at puzzles. But if you keep your strengths to yourselves and then you're good at puzzles, it bears the questions, well, what else are you good at? So shout out to Carson. Definitely a Carsonaut.
Okay, a Carsonaut. Is that what they're being called?
I, I saw a hashtag underneath one of his posts. I can't remember if he put it or another person did it, but I put it on my post, so now it's a thing. So
Did you buy anything that he has a merch store?
didn't know that. I
Yeah.
feel like I need to buy
Did you
something.
consider setting up a merch shop during season 43? You have this is your merch. I was gonna ask you that shirt. Was that the you may have an original Survivor 43 shirt?
I did. So my fiance actually designed this logo that has like my face on it, because I
Yes.
had this little saying during pregame and press. I said, "Drop the four, put a picture of me." That was in my
Oh
days when I
yeah,
thought I
yeah,
was
yeah.
gonna win. And so this is like the picture of the four being dropped, and me holding the three, and I kind of like become the. So it was like, yeah. So this is like the picture of me. I did like a whole like giveaway for it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I definitely considered it. I definitely also want to do a pizza and coffee t-shirt.
Yes.
So definitely going to set up a
I'm
shop.
intrigued. I'm intrigued with the pizza and coffee. Who do you from this cast do you want to have pizza and coffee with?
Definitely Jam Jam. Claire, Lauren Carson. I
All
did
right,
see
but we got
that.
to put a limit on this. This can't be 17 people, Morriah.
I was getting ready to name so many. Okay,
Okay.
give me a
There.
limit. Give me
Okay.
a
All
limit.
right. All right. You and four guests. All right, Morriah, you won reward. Morriah, pick four people to come with you for pizza and coffee.
Oh my god. Okay. Um. Okay, Rob Prost. I'm going to go with Jam Jam.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Good pick.
this is so tough. Um, I'm gonna go with Bruce. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like he had that
The
injury.
least you could do.
He
Yeah.
deserves it. I'm gonna go with Carson.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go with Claire. We're just gonna cross tribal lines.
Okay. All
But I
right.
also want to one more, Jeff. One more.
All right. One more. That's it.
Okay. And I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do. It, Maddie, I love you, but I'm gonna go Lauren.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
mean, Lauren's a teacher. We know we have that teacher bond. So
Yeah. What about Carolyn? Carolyn didn't make the cut for coffee and pizza?
the next time, sure,
Next
yes.
time. Next time. Tell me about Carolyn, because I feel like that she got so much in the premiere. I think she's going to be such a big character this season.
Yes. Oh my God. I think that she had maybe like the best opening ever. Like
Yeah.
I would love to have like an opening like that. I think
They
that
opened with like a blooper.
yeah, that was so cool. Shout out to her. And I think
Mhm.
that I love her as a person and I feel like she's going to have a really big fan base, but she's such a big personality, but she's reserving it. And again, I understand why. She was saying, she doesn't want to scare people off and she doesn't want to seem like she's talking too much and going and putting herself out there and being the person to hop into conversations. But baby girl, they're doing it without you anyway. So you got to get in the mix. And so
Yeah.
I think right now she's like reserving all of her great assets. And this is like the one time where I think that her personality would be so much more of a strength if she would use it to build those connections. But I think that she's just afraid of being too overbearing. But the problem with that is that everyone is making those connections behind her back anyway.
Mhm.
But I love her, and I really hope that in episode 2 she steps outside of her comfort zone. And I think she had a conversation with someone. I'm trying to remember who she she was like looking at them in the face and was like, yeah, I feel like everyone's talking without me.
I
Um,
think she was talking to Jam Jam, or was it Helen?
I think it might have been Helen.
Helen, yeah.
I think she had like a quick one off with Jam Jam, but I think Helen told her like, no, I haven't really talked to anybody yet either, but she definitely was talking to
Yeah,
people.
Helen talked
So
to Carson and Sarah.
right. So I don't know. I hope it's not too late for her to build those bonds, but I think she just has to build them. And I think when you're building bonds, you can't ask about the bonds people have with other people. Like they're not going to own up to
Mhm.
it. I think that you have to go based off of strategy and vibe. Like, are you seeing eye to eye? Do you both want the same things in the game? And then how can you have those interpersonal connections based off of real life experiences? But if you're going up to somebody and be like, have you talked to anybody? They're gonna
Yeah.
immediately be a little bit suspicious of you or feel like you're only talking to them because you're afraid of going home, not because you want a genuine connection.
Yeah.
And so I just want her to build those genuine relationships with people. So
Yeah,
but
Morriah,
she's
this is the danger zone, I think, for Carolyn, because I feel like that these first couple of tribal councils, if she's not exactly fitting in, I think that this is where she's vulnerable. But if she can make it a couple of votes in this game, I think she's just the kind of person that people are like, well, she's not a threat. We're not worried about her.
yeah.
And I think that this is some of the stuff that really benefited Gabler as well.
Yes, I think, and I actually had a conversation with this with Jesse and James because there's a lot of like divide online where people were saying, if you are hiding in plain sight, do you deserve the win? And my personal view on it is, if that was your game plan, then
Mhm.
absolutely. I think it's a difference between hiding in plain sight on purpose and hiding in plain sight on accident. If you are just not doing anything and coasting, then maybe you don't deserve the win. But I think if you are being strategic and intentional, like there were
Mhm.
many moments when Gabler said behind the scenes to production, I'm going back underwater. And that's what he did. That was his
Yeah.
plan. So I think that he definitely did deserve the win. So I definitely think that that could be a strategy Caroline uses, but only if that's her plan and only if she was to make it to the merge and then to final tribal council. And she states that like, this was my plan the whole time, but I think she would have to own it and be intentional with it too.
Yeah. Are you a Big Brother fan, Morriah?
Yes, I am, but
Yes.
I have not kept up with it.
That's
So
okay. But yeah, I
shamefully,
think it's sort of like the difference between, we've debated for many years in the Big Brother space about like what's the definition of a floater. And so, the floater strategy is a good one, but then there's also the people that are just there.
mhm,
And then that's sort of like, well, that's more of a coaster than a floater.
mm,
The floater is like, okay, floating to where the power is and sort of
yeah,
like, okay, not really getting on anybody's bad side, whereas the coaster
mhm.
is just somebody who exists.
Yeah, who sits on the sidelines? And I definitely think that it depends because again, two different games. That's really
Hmm.
interesting. Oh, you're making me want to like catch up on my Big Brother now. But floaters in Survivor are known as flip floppers. And
Hmm.
so that might be a strategy that works on Big Brother, but I think that that's what happened with Sammy was a lot of people were looking at him like a flip flopper because he was going back and forth between everyone and that ended up being his demise and getting him in trouble. So I don't know if that strategy is the best strategy. The only way I think being a flip flopper works is if you're not doing it in plain sight and people don't know you're flip flopping. But I think when everyone sees you talking to
Hmm.
this group and that group and this group, you lose trust with everyone and it ends up biting you in the butt.
Yeah. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Shipwheel Island, the journey that we saw the players go on. And, there was a lot of like jockeying for, oh, I want to be the person to go to Shipwheel Island. I just had done some, you got some notes for us?
Somewhere,
Yes?
let me
Okay.
find them
All right.
because
Don't worry. Don't worry. Look, don't rush. Okay. Um, I wonder, how important is it to be a person who goes to the Shipwheel Island? We saw in season 43, ultimately, Gabler went. Ultimately, he got a thing.
Mhm,
He met Carla there. He met Dwight there. He
mhm,
won the season.
mhm,
Marianne went to Shipwheel Island in the premiere of season 42.
mhm,
Had formed a relationship with Drea
mhm.
on Shipwheel Island. Is it a big deal to be one of the first three people to go and have that meeting?
Absolutely. And I think it's going to change for future seasons, though. I think for these newer seasons, it was you want to be the person on ship wheel. Not everybody. A lot of people didn't want to be the person to go. I was the person who I did not want to go because my mindset was I don't want to be separated from my tribe this early. In retrospect, go. You're there to play. Take the
Yeah.
risk. It's an advantage out there. Go. But I think now that people are noticing getting on the boat is an advantage, it's going to affect people's choices in the future and people aren't going to want to go. And when people come back, they're going to be a target. And I think we're already seeing it now, like with people like Lauren Ashley, when she came back and she's like, oh, I lost my vote. But then, Claire is doing the seed. Now all of a sudden she has this target on her back. So I feel like we're already starting to see the shift. I feel like before going to Shipwheel Island was a hidden advantage. Like people, when you went to Shipwheel, nobody knew what it was. It was still kind of new. It was a secret. What happens? You're telling these stories. Now it's kind of it's becoming, I think it's in the phase of becoming, no matter what you say,
Mhm.
people aren't going to believe you. And I think we're going to definitely start to see it in like season 45 and season 46. People are going to come back from the island telling the truth, and people are going to be like, the story doesn't make sense. Like, because
Mhm.
you see people's strategy now. So,
You know what they should do? They should make it you go to this island and then it's like the most insane thing ever. And they should change it every single time. So
yeah.
somebody goes there and it's like you go there and you get like a robot is there and the robot is juggling advantages and you have
Mm-hmm.
to like pick one with a fishing net and then you
Uh-huh.
take it and then you come back and like, what happened? And then you have to tell this crazy story. And they're like, come on, that's not real. Like,
Or you
no, it was.
or you go there and there's coffee and pizza and no
Yeah. And
advantage. And
Mariah
you
was
just
there. Yeah. And
walk.
Mariah from season 43 was there. And she had one pot regular, one pot decaf.
If they should make it so crazy where you actually leave the island knowing you can't tell the truth. Like nobody
Yeah.
is gonna believe that I had to hold a snake in one hand and eat an orange for 10 minutes. Like
Yeah, right. Isn't that what they want? Of like, oh, it's dangerous fun. Like, what is like? Is it fun? As Mike
they
White once
should
famously
do.
asked, is it fun?
back to something you said earlier, what they should do on Shipwheel Island is a tribe swap.
Oh.
You
Yeah,
get
you
on
get
the
a different
boat.
person back. You get a different person
You
back.
get a different person. Boy, oh boy,
Oh, I love it.
would that shake things up.
Yeah, people are like, "Oh, I want to go. I want to go." Like, "Oh yeah, okay. Well, now a different person comes home."
Oh, that would be
Oh, I
wild.
love it. I love it.
And, oh my God, what if that happened every other day?
Mhm.
The tribes are just constantly being mixed up and reset. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. You might be on Tiki today and Rat 2 tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, that's Morriah. Send that to Samoa. What a great idea. Write that down.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it right here in my
Tribe
notebook.
swap over on the Shipwheel
Shipwheel
Island.
Island.
Yeah. I love that so much. What did you think about Lauren rigging the bag of rocks to be the person to go?
Good for her. I was more so surprised that no one caught on to it. Again, something I couldn't do because my guilty conscience would eat at me.
Mhm.
But I thought that it was good for her game. She wanted to go. She took the risk. She made it happen. She's there to play hard. And I think people love players like that. You see players like that. You want them to get to the merge. You want them to get to the end because they're doing whatever it takes. I think those kind of players are really inspiring to watch from the couch. I think that if she didn't have a conversation with her tribe about it coming back home, they were probably really pissed off watching it. And
Mhm.
I think that again goes back to the story of like, what are you willing to do morally wise, and what are you not willing to do? But I definitely think it was a good gameplay, and she still ended up getting an advantage out of it. So I think it was a good thing for her game.
Is
Um,
it better to go back and tell your tribe that you have an extra vote or you're getting an extra vote, or should you tell them that you lost your vote? I guess she had like sort of like the set up like the perfect crime of like
I
she
thought
said she
she had
lost
the
her vote.
perfect
Yeah.
story because the advantage was for bank your vote. If you don't vote, then that becomes an extra vote. So I thought that her story was
Mhm.
perfect. It made sense. I lost my vote. So now she doesn't have to vote and she gains that extra vote
Yeah.
in the tribal. So I thought her
It's
story,
a good cover.
I thought it was a great cover. I thought that she played it really well. But man, oh man, that Claire.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
Claire.
I love that. I love that so much what Claire did.
I thought that it was really smart, really brilliant. And I think that too many people wait to start building connections across tribal lines until the merge. So I think that if Claire makes it to the merge, she's already preset with
Yeah.
one connection because it's one of those things like when you get to the merge, it's so many awkward things happening and so many different vibes and emotions. And it's, and I'm talking as if if I've been to a merge before.
You in spirit you have, Morriah.
I'm talking from like what's going to happen in the future. But I feel like it's so many emotions and everything happening. When you see that person, you've had that you're just gonna be like, oh my God, hi, we can finally talk. Come over here.
Yeah.
It's just like that easy in. Again, those small choices that separate the good players from the great players. So I think that was a brilliant move, even though it seemed like a really small in the moment thing.
Yeah, it seems small, but I loved what she did where she said to Matthew about, hey, can I ask you a question about the whole thing with Shipwheel Island? And then she gave up and she said, oh yeah, he came back and he read a thing. So he looked for the paper. And then after it was over, she said, I really like you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, wow, this is
She
just
did three things. She
so
did three
good.
things
It
in
was
less
so
than 30
good.
seconds. It was so good. It was so brilliant. It was beautiful. I think about how I think Claire is definitely going to be like a powerhouse, but
Yeah.
I also think she's going to be a threat. So that worries me. I think that she is. I'm really interested to see more of. Let me look. Was her tribe Soka? Or no, it was Ratu.
No, she's Soka.
No, she is Soka. Okay. I'm really interested to see how her tribe perceives her because
Yeah.
I feel like she's one of those people who are just noticeably good. And I wonder if people are going to catch on to that early in the game and just want to get rid of her because I feel like sometimes you see people that are really good threats early on and your immediate thought is if they make it to the merge, they're taking it. So people want to get them out as quick as possible. So I think that she's a really good player, but I wonder if it's going to end up hurting her.
Yeah. Well,
I want to see more of her gameplay.
Morriah, let's talk a little bit about that tribe because we haven't really talked about them. So Claire is on the Soka tribe.
Mhm.
It's Claire, it's Franny, it's Heidi,
Mhm.
and then it is Danny, Matt B, and Josh are the people on the Soka tribe. And I was, filling out my team from my lineup for the Make Your Picks fantasy league. And I was like, boy, like all my picks are from Soka and Tika. I was like, I don't want to pick too many people from this one green tribe. But I think I picked all people from the green tribe and the Tika tribe, the pink tribe, and nobody from orange.
Oh wow, let me see.
I feel like I'm out on the orange tribe now.
Wow. Okay, so I've never done that before. I've never picked people ahead of time. I pick people who I really love, but I've never done like a draft or anything. But looking at RHAP 2, I'm already looking at like Lauren. Like she is playing so hard. And now Matt, because of the blessing of the M's, he just has to be there. And I feel like, I don't know. I got to see more of Jamie. That shot in the dark really threw me for a twist. But after getting the information about her name being thrown around,
worried about her.
It makes it interesting. But in terms of Soka, somebody that was really quiet, I'm interested to see where they fall, is Danny.
Yes.
I feel like we didn't hear a lot of his story or what he's about.
Him and Josh from that tribe.
Right. It just kind of seemed like they were away. I noticed that Matt and Franny really hit it off.
Yeah.
Franny,
what'd you think of that, Morriah?
Huh?
What'd you think of that?
I like it. I like it. I think that I can see that. I think, again, that's what I mean by going back to Carolyn and how she was trying to build the bond. They just click naturally. Like they built and now they trust each other all of a sudden. They just let it come naturally. They built that bond. So I feel like I can definitely, their relationship kind of reminds me of Christian and what was
Gabby?
Yes, Christian and Gabby. That's the kind of vibes that I'm getting from them. It just kind of seems like they're in it to win it. And I feel like when you hit it off like that and you build those like genuine real life connections, the trust comes naturally. It's not something you have to work at.
Yeah.
And so I definitely get good vibes about them. Franny also reminds me of Sophie.
Yes. She talked about that in her preseason stuff.
She
about how
did.
She's a big fan of Sophie and like Sophie is somebody that she'd like to play as. I would just like to go back to with Franny and Matt, because it's been strongly suggested that there is going to be a romance in this season.
Oh, I did see that a lot.
Okay.
I saw that
Morriah,
a lot.
As a player, okay, would you like to be working closely with a showmance?
Heck no.
Yeah.
No.
It doesn't happen that often on Survivor. It's very rare. Every season of Big Brother, but it's not something that us as Survivor players have to think about too much.
I think that Rob and Amanda, that's it. That's it. Like the idea of working with a power couple means you will always be the bottom three. Like you're always going to be the last one. Like they are always going to work together. So that is two. That's two. It's too powerful. And I think people view showmances differently from regular alliances, because that emotional bond, it's too deep. And then also, I think it also goes into, sometimes people don't think clearly, people stop thinking strategically, and people
love goggles.
Right. You have the love goggles on. And so I don't think that anybody would want to work with the showmance. I think, I don't think.
Morriah, does it need to be addressed in the 6-person tribe? Or is it something that you sort of just like, okay, I'm not going to worry about it right now. We need to make it through this. At least, they're in a showmance, but I'm working with them. Or do you think you need to break it up before you get out of the 6-person tribe?
No, maybe I'm giving too much of my ideas away for the future seasons I'm on. Okay. But I definitely think you don't break it up.
Don't break it up. I agree. I
don't think you break it up. Like, that is an easy vote. Go ahead and couple up. Oh, y'all are so cute together. It's just like, nope. It's an easy, and then it's just a boom, this power couple, like they gotta go. Like, and
Yeah.
it's 6 of y'all. It's
Well, you
4
make it
of you
sound so
kids.
easy, Morriah. Sometimes there's a power couple and there's nothing you could do about it also.
That's true. That's true. But I'm all for not addressing it and
Mhm.
letting it happen. And also you don't sometimes I think people want to address. I don't understand sometimes the purpose of addressing things, because I think addressing things in the game of Survivor only brings about paranoia. It
Mhm.
is so hard to do anything when everyone is paranoid. It's hard to do things when one person is paranoid. Even people who aren't in your alliance, when they are paranoid people just screw things up. I don't know how, but they screw things up. They scramble, they mess things up, they throw things off the. It's again similar to the situation of people who know they're going home, and people who are paranoid, people who know they have nothing to lose. Those are the most dangerous people in the game. They just have the ability to fudge shiz up. So I just think that keep it keep it under wraps. Keep it under wraps. Definitely.
Morriah, I have
It,
some questions from the listeners of the podcast. Are you ready for some questions?
yes, bring them on.
Do you have other stuff from your notes you want to address?
Let me make sure. I mean, the big thing that I had 5 stars next to was definitely the curse of the M.
Yes.
These are just like personal notes. Like this started to become a little bit of a diary more than
I
like a
love it. I
character.
love
I
it.
was like, I remember stepping on the sand for the first time.
Mhm.
God, I wonder how much people would pay if I was to publish this. Um,
Your diary.
no, this journal that's
Mhm.
currently 4 pages long.
Yeah.
No, I
Well,
think we pretty much covered everything that
so
was.
I know you recently posted some advice for the new players. You posted 3 things that the new Survivor cast should know. Could you just reset what those 3 things were?
Yeah, I think that you should enjoy the ride and
Mhm.
soak it all in because it goes
Yeah.
by
Soka.
really fast. And again, coming from someone who was voted out first, like you get so excited, you blink, you're like, oh my god, it's over, and then it's
Yeah.
really sad. I think that you should be proud of your game, because I think it's really easy when you don't win to come home and like the millions of things that went over my head again and again after playing, you just think about everything you could have done. But the thing that you keep on forgetting is it's a game. Survivor is a social experience. It's also a game of chances. You could have done a million different things
Mhm.
differently, and a million other outliers could have happened. So be proud of your game. And then the third one was just don't let anyone diminish your achievement or accomplishment, because I feel like sometimes the world, and this is like the 1%, can be really mean and really nasty and try to make you feel bad for going out early. You didn't even make it to the merge, and it's like, but I made it on Survivor. So it's
Mhm.
just like be proud and own the accomplishment. Like being voted off first is a freaking honor to me. Like the fact that I got my torch snuffed by Jeff Probst is an honor to me. I made it to the game and I played. Regardless of whether I won or not, I still played. And so those were the 3 tips that I gave.
Right. Where were you during Survivor All Stars? When I needed to hear all this.
Well, what happened was that's another thing that I feel like during my season, it was not in my episode at all. But the reason why I played was because of my mom. And my mom, I grew up watching this show with my mom. My mom was a fan of the game, student of the game, loved the game. Like I was a kid. I think I was like 6 when I started watching Survivor. And so when my mom passed away, I had these 3 things I wanted to do, which was spread her ashes in Hawaii, become a teacher, and play Survivor. And so
Mhm.
after my mom passed away, it was really hard for me to watch it. So I took a little bit of a hiatus from Survivor, actually, just because it was just difficult watching it without my mom. And then I kind of like fell upon it again and then just binge watched all the seasons. So I probably was on my hiatus when All Stars happened. I took a long break from it.
Yes. Okay. Well, you didn't miss anything. Why Hawaii?
Well, my mom always wanted to go and she never got a chance to go. I just remember growing up, her and my dad had this jar and they wanted to get their vows renewed and they would always put money in, and then, money came out and then money goes in and money comes out. And,
Yeah.
I'm the youngest out of 6 and my mom had 4 girls, and so it was tough growing up. And so my parents never got a chance to make it to Hawaii, and it was a place I knew she always wanted to travel to, and so that's where I decided to go to spread her ashes. So
Yeah. And did you do that recently?
No, I did that actually the same year that I became a teacher. So it was, I think, 2017. Yeah, 2017, I think. And so, yeah, it was really fun. Big
Yeah.
Island, Kona.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what an amazing way to honor her.
Thanks.
Yeah. And you have that in common with the other Morriah, who
Brother.
wanted to come to Fiji, and bury the locket for her brother.
I remember that. I think that, again, it's so different. I think sometimes my season gets a lot of hate, and it's like, you're not playing the game, you're not playing the game. But for me, and this is again another reason why I want to play, like my first time playing, of course I wanted to win. Of course I thought I was gonna win. Of course I wanted the million, but it was also so much more deeper for me. Like I was so happy to be able to check off this final thing on my bucket list, like
Yeah.
going through that emotionally and mentally, and having these like 3 things I really want to do for my mom: become a teacher, spread her ashes in Hawaii, play Survivor. All 3 of those things are really hard, and not like I didn't ever expect to become a teacher, and Hawaii was never really on my bucket list to go to spread her ashes. So
Yeah.
it's like, to be doing that last thing, it feels so surreal. It, like any dream you have, when you finally accomplish it, you're there. So I definitely think that also influenced the way that I played the game. I was in a place of great gracefulness and just gratefulness, and just happy to be there. So I think that definitely had a huge influence on me too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure your mom would be completely thrilled to see that you made it onto the show.
Yeah. Oh my God. She'd be screaming. She'd be asking me for Jeff's number.
Did she have a favorite player?
Losing her mind. Oh yes. So Rupert, we both loved Rupert. First of all, me, obvious reason.
Tie-dye.
Yeah. Love at first sight of the tie-dye, obviously. And James, we both also really loved James. Like, when James came on the screen, I just remember screaming and clapping. We were just like, the grave digger! Like,
Yeah.
like those
I
are
read in your bio that you quoted James that one of your favorite moments. He said, "Don't bite the apple."
Yes, and I always thought that made the most sense. Like, it was growing up and watching it, every time someone betrayed their alliance when they were set, I would be like, why? You were good. And it just always backfired. So I always, again, was such a fan of the old school way of playing.
That's not the new era.
It's not the new era at all. Again, you got to be a lot more adaptable, got to be a lot more cutthroat, got to be way more strategic. Whereas though I feel old school was about building relationships, and I feel like that resonates with who I am as a person, but it wasn't jiving.
Maybe you just played in the wrong era.
I think I did. I think I played in the wrong era. But I don't know. Maybe I can conjure something up now that I've been voted off.
Maybe the next era is gonna be it's going to basically hit bottom and come back the other way.
Maybe, fingers crossed. Old school. Wait, that's happened though. Old school versus new school. That's happened already.
No, they've never done that.
We've never done old
Add
school.
that to First Boots versus Medivacs versus Superfans.
I'm gonna make a TikTok about it.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yes, tag people. They'll be thrilled. Okay. Davey Rickenbacker sent in a question. Who are your nominees for MVN this season? Most Valuable Nerd. Now, is that an award you give out?
No.
Or does Davey just want to hear that?
I think Davey just wants to hear that. I think it's pretty obvious, but I say this with the utmost love. I don't know how people feel about the word nerd, or if that's a sore spot with people, but I gotta go with my I want to make sure I'm saying our Carsonaut. It has to go to my Carsonaut. I mean, come on. First of all, he's called Carsonaut. Like, come on.
I didn't know he was called Carsonaut.
Well, that's the hashtag that I'm corny.
Yeah.
So if he's not called that, now he will be, but it definitely has to go to him. First of all, what a gem. He gained 30 pounds to come onto the show. Like what
Yeah.
a gem. The
I've
interesting
got some questions of how you do that.
Well, I hear a lot of people. Who was it? Someone came up with the Ben and Jerry's diet. And was
Mhm.
it Adam? I think it might have been Adam who did the Ben and Jerry's diet. So maybe he did that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, and the fact that he's never dated anyone, like it,
Mhm.
he's just kind of like the
I don't know, right?
Facebook
Did you see
style.
his Twitter today?
No.
He said basically, I could find the tweet, but he basically said that RIP his DMs.
Oh, that makes me so happy for him.
Yeah. Okay. So he said, does tweet a lot. So he said, note to future Survivor players, don't announce on national TV that you're single. I'll never be able to respond to all my DMs again. LOL. And I hate having unread messages. LMAO. This was not my experience of saying that you are single on Survivor. I don't know.
I don't
You
know.
did it wrong.
That's hilarious. I'm happy for Carson. I'm happy that he's having that experience. Slow down on the DMs. We don't want to overwhelm him, but like keep sending them, periodically. Choose a day, slow it down. But the award definitely goes to him. I also believe I saw a Twitter post where I think a deli named a sandwich after him. I forget the name of the deli. Did I screenshot it earlier? Let me check. So I think the deli named a sandwich after him. I thought that was also a pretty cool accomplishment. I was like, I want a deli to name a sandwich after me. So man.
Okay, well, let's name a sandwich after you. All right. What's on the Morriah?
So
it's got to be on Raya, right?
It definitely has to. Yeah. Rye. Is there bread? I know rye bread. Is there a bread named Raya?
No. I'm just saying,
okay,
it's on rye. Yeah.
Cool. We definitely have to like dye the bread, maybe do like some rainbow swirls.
Okay.
And then like layered, maybe it makes the rainbow. So maybe we get like some blue cheese, and I'm not talking about regular blue cheese, like maybe American cheese, but we dye it blue. Don't know if that's possible, but
okay. So you don't actually want blue cheese. You don't like that.
I do like blue cheese, but not on a sandwich, only with buffalo wings.
Okay.
But let's have the actual color blue on the cheese as the cheese, right?
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Let's double up on the cheese because you never can have enough. So we get the regular American or cheddar cheese. So we have that yellow. So we go from like blue to yellow.
Okay.
Chicken. If you didn't know, like chicken and fried chicken, any kind of chicken really.
Yeah.
And crab legs, favorite kinds of meat. But I prefer
this is all on one sandwich.
Let's go with the chicken. Let's slow down. I want people to buy it. So let's go with the chicken.
Yeah.
Then we get some lettuce, some pickles. I wonder if we can dye the pickles too. So blue cheese.
Wait, the pickles are already green. What color do you want the pickles to be?
Maybe let's get some purple pickles. I
purple
like the
pickles.
Okay. Purple green pickles. Let's get some tomato in there. Fried chicken. Bacon. How could I forget?
Okay. Yeah. So it's really the sandwich is more than you even want, and it's on rye. Morriah. Morriah Yum.
Oh, I love it. Morriah. I gotta reach out to my local Wawa and see if they can make that happen.
See if Wawa can do that.
Right, but y'all don't have Wawas, do y'all?
No.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Hopefully they come to y'all soon. They're delicious.
Yeah. What about a season of Survivor Wawa versus Buc-ee's?
I've never had Buc-ee's. So my draft pick would be for Wawa.
Okay, you play on the Wawa tribe. Yeah, Wawa is a good name for a tribe.
It is. And then it's kind of like the birds versus the beavers, right? Buc-ee's is like a beaver.
Yep.
That's
okay. All right. Rachel Helft on Twitter wants to know who gets the Morriah Young Award for Best Dressed Player.
Jam.
Okay, wow, so quick.
Yeah, I already. Come on. Did you see the pastel? on
Yeah,
that.
it's good. Good. He does a good job.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. All right. Um, Let me ask you about something that I would love to hear you address. So I was watching some TikToks earlier today, but maybe I saw this on Instagram. Kelly Wentworth had one. She talked about, why does Jeff pretend he doesn't know the players' names at the start of the game?
I
What
saw
is the
that.
purpose of this?
I
And
saw that.
why do we do this? Like, you get to the mat. He's like, all right, I don't know, woman with the rainbow hair. What's your name? You get to tribal council. All right, Morriah, tell me, as a teacher, what's it like for you? Like, and then suddenly, like 3 days later, he knows everything about you. He knows your whole bio.
I definitely saw a comment, and I think the comment was spot on her video. Someone said, I always thought he did that for us. And I think he does. I think one of the things that sets Survivor apart from other reality shows, competition shows in general, is their ability to have these characters, these people become characters that you fall in love with. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the only way you can, turn real people into characters is if you allow them to tell their stories in a way that appeals to the masses. And so I think that's why he gives us the opportunity to like introduce ourselves and ask these questions, because then you're, making those connections through the
Yeah,
screen.
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. You also get to introduce yourself to the other players on the show, but it's like, this isn't like back in like the Lynn Spillman days. Like he's talked to all of you a
Yeah.
million times. Like he knows everything about you. Like why
Right.
what's with the charade of I don't know who you are anymore?
I think he does it for
Like,
us.
Jeff, it's
And
me. It's me. Morriah, remember? Yeah.
And I think two reasons: that it's for the viewers, but I also think that's when the game starts.
Yeah.
Like, I think that you got to be careful what you say from the moment you step onto the mat, because it's kind of like your first impression, and not only just your first impression on your tribe, but the first impression for other people who are on different tribes as well. So I think the way I view it is like, Jeff is very good at what he does, and he's very intentional about the kinds of questions that he asks, as is the production team when you're in your confessionals. And so I think that there's always a reason why they ask the questions that they do in the order that they ask them in, or at least edit them in. And so I think that it's also to shake things up sometimes, because then you start going like, oh, you're from Boston? I'm from Boston too. Like when I heard James was from Philly, I was like, like, same thing. Like you start hearing people's occupations. Like he's asking, Lindsay about being a nurse, or he's asking, oh, NECA, you just started watching the show. And so you start to form these opinions about people. So I definitely think it's intentional, and it's when the game starts, and it definitely helps you form opinions of people before the first challenge.
Yeah. All right. Got a question from Luca, who says, can playing the shot in the dark become a way to hide your true allegiance for one more round and have more options in the future? So this was something that it seems like that maybe Matthew didn't want to necessarily cast a vote at this first tribal council. What do you think about the shot in the dark as sort of a defensive play of, I don't want to necessarily share my intention?
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about it that way, but I think that it certainly can be used
Yeah. And
that way.
just to add to that, it's not necessarily something that we've seen done with the shot in the dark, but it's something that we've seen players like Omer and Jesse who've lost their vote at the vote before they get to the merge. And then when we have like that big mergatory vote, then they don't have to necessarily like announce which side they're on.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if that is why Matt and Jamie did it. Not sure if that's why they did it, but I think that it could work if that's what your game plan is.
Jamie was definitely paranoid she had heard her name, but I think
Yeah.
that is why Matthew might have done it.
You think Matt might have used it as a defensive mode?
Not as not defensive in that he didn't want to
Reveal where his allegiance lie.
Right. Let Brandon play his idol and cast the one vote against Maddie. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, he doesn't accidentally write down Maddie and then ultimately the plan didn't work, or he didn't have to write down Brandon's name.
this is one of those gray areas where I think it's less about doing it in tribal and more about what you do after tribal, because it can come back again to bite you in the butt. It's like, why did you play? You didn't play your shot in the dark because you don't want to reveal where your allegiance lies. Then people can't trust you. I feel like so much trust is built in that first tribal council. You don't know where the lines are until after that first vote out. So now you have this group of people who voted together, right? And so you can trust these people. Whereas though now you've become an outlier. Yeah, you have a little bit of power because you can now potentially be a swing, but you're also an outlier and you've lost the opportunity to be in that core alliance that voted together. So I think that it could work to his advantage if a swing vote is needed. But once again, you also don't want to be the swing, because when you're the swing, you're naturally on the bottom. So I think that it would have been played better to his advantage had he just voted with the majority and been solidified that he was with them. So
Yeah, but the majority isn't there anymore. Like the majority, like there were 3 people that didn't vote. And there were only 2 people that voted against Brandon, and one of them's gone.
Yeah, I think
It was a
guess
very
that's
weird
true.
tribal council.
I guess it is a very weird tribal council. So I think it's definitely going to depend on what he says when he goes back to camp.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to have to choose his words carefully. And I think he's going to have to choose whether or not he's going to address it whole group or individually. I think that that's going to be crucial as well. And if he is addressing it individually, are you saying the same thing or are you saying something different? So that's interesting. I hadn't thought about using the shot in the dark.
Make your vote disappear. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to pick a side. So for Brandon, Grace has a question for you. Grace Mullen wants to know, after being the main target at Tribal tonight, how should Brandon reintegrate himself? Do you think that Brandon needs to reintegrate himself?
Definitely. I think that you got to address the elephant in the room. I think that he needs to be like, I don't have the idol anymore. And also begin to build an alliance with people. Because I think the only person who he really connected with was Matt. But again, Matt played that shot in the dark. So I think definitely going back to Matt, re-solidifying that original connection he had with Matt would definitely be a good move. And I definitely think reintegration is going to be important, because the thing about Brandon is not only did he have a target on his back because of the medallion and the idol, we also got to remember that he wasn't doing so hot at the challenge. So people aren't going to forget that. People are looking, when the tribes are so small, you're looking for any reason to get rid of people. So it's like, not only were you a threat because you found this power idol, but also you weren't doing so hot in the challenge. And so hopefully he does a good job at not only connecting with Matt, but also building some other connections too. Because I don't think he made many. I think it was just him and Matt. I think Matt was the only person. And the one opportunity he had with Maddie's gone. So.
Okay. Morriah, I have a question from Owen Knight.
Owen.
He wants to know, what food or drinks would the Survivor 44 cast be?
Oh, food or drinks. I love this.
Let's turn Survivor 44 into one big wah-wah.
I love this. I feel like, do you know those barbecue Frito twists? That's Claire.
Yes.
I feel like
okay.
Like spicy.
I gotta be honest, I'm not familiar with barbecue Frito twists. Do I seem like a barbecue Frito twist guy? Yeah.
It's really addictive. It's like once you eat one, you can't stop. You just like keep
once you pop,
them.
right?
Yeah. So I feel like, and then afterwards you like want to suck your fingers and like get all the barbecue off your fingers. And I feel like that's Claire. I feel like you eat one and then suddenly you're addicted. So
yes.
definitely
okay. Barbecue Frito twist. Okay.
Frito twist. Let me think about this. Let me see.
You want me to give you some more names?
Yeah, give me some names.
All right. What about Carolyn?
Oh, I like this. I feel like Carolyn. This is. I have two. I feel like she would either be a cake pop or popcorn. Maybe popcorn.
Okay.
I feel like she's definitely popcorn, like a million tiny little kernels going off, like pop, 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 pop. half.
Mm-hmm.
And then the fact that like anytime it's entertainment, that's the food you associate with that
Okay.
entertainment, watching a good movie,
I like
eating
that.
some popcorn,
Yeah.
and then you get some nice butter. It's smooth, it's salty, it's
Mm-hmm.
also pretty healthy.
Yeah. Okay.
Popcorn.
What about Carson?
Ooh, Carson. I like this one. I gotta think carefully.
Not that sandwich, right?
No, I don't think Carson is a sandwich. What would I make Carson? This I wanna make sure I'm like, really thinking about this one. It's something about Carson that makes me feel like he might be a kiwi. Like the little fuzz on the outside of the fruit is so nice and smooth, but then it's also like citrusy and it has that little bit of pop and it can like surprise you. And it's so
Yeah.
many different things you can make with a kiwi, like smoothies and candy. So I feel like Carson's a kiwi.
Candy?
You never had kiwi
No.
candy?
What kind of kiwi candy do you have?
Isn't there a Mamba kiwi flavor? Have you ever had Mambas?
No.
No. We gotta. So okay,
After pizza and coffee, we're gonna have to go out for some snacks. Mamba? Let me look this up. I don't even know what a mamba
God, you've
is.
never had Mambas. Oh my God. Edit that part out
Mambas?
for yourself.
Is
But
this
now,
a Philadelphia thing?
no, I thought it was in everybody. We grew up with Mambas. They were like in the store and everything. And I swear there was a kiwi flavor, but maybe there
Okay.
is one. Isn't there a kiwi
Like
Jolly
a
Rancher
fruit
too?
chew, if you say so. I don't know.
I,
Okay.
I think there might be a kiwi Jolly Rancher too. Is there
Yeah.
not?
I don't know. I don't know all the Jolly. I'm not a big Jolly Rancher guy.
Next time we talk, I'm gonna have a list of kiwi candy
Yes.
for us to
Okay.
try.
What about Jam Jam?
Jam Jam is Jam.
He's
He's
Jam.
Jam. How could you not make him Jam? He's like
Not yams. He's Jam.
he makes the peanut butter and jelly sandwich come together. Like he just makes it more exciting. You can put it on your toast. You can put it on your sandwich. Jam Jam is definitely Jam. And then also when I think about Jam Jam, you ever open up a jar of jam for the first time and it makes that like sound? Like I feel like that's
He's got
Jam
that.
Jam is Jam. He has that.
Yeah. Okay. What about Maddie?
Other colors, it's so flavorful.
Yeah. Maddie, our first boot.
Maddie, let me think. Maddie might be a pretzel. She's a little twisty. She got a little salt on her.
Oh, I like that.
You know, like it seems like it's such a simple snack, but it's like you can do so many different combos with a pretzel. You can
make combos.
Pretzel, exactly. You could do the pretzel knots. You could do mustard pretzel, pretzel with salt, without salt, cinnamon pretzel. So Maddie might be a pretzel.
Okay. Anybody else jump out to you? Do you have any others that are slam dunks?
Let me think. Lauren, an apple.
An apple?
Yes, because
she's a teacher.
She's a teacher. You got what I was saying. She's a teacher, but also she gives me a little bit of Eve vibes from like the Bible, like the forbidden fruit.
Yes,
not to bite it. See,
wow.
I got my little.
Like, I knew you're good at this game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Matt. Let me think about Matt.
Matt B, right?
Matt, who is on RHAP 2.
Okay. Matthew.
Yes. I feel like, let me think. I feel like he would be something spiky.
Spiky?
Like I'm trying to think of like a spiky food, like just really interesting. I don't know. Or something like maybe like, might be like a walnut. Like once you crack it open, it's like an interesting surprise. I don't know. That one is a word. I'm gonna come back and think about Matt. That wasn't
all
a
right.
Good
yeah, let us know in the comments. Okay. All right. Morriah, is there anything else about the Survivor 44 premiere that you have in your notebook or you want to get off your chest?
I just think we didn't talk about the cliff climbing.
Yes, Matthew climbing the cliff. Yes.
I was very surprised that that was allowed.
That's what I said on the know-it-alls last night. I was like, if I'm the producer, I was like, hey, get off there, get off there.
Yeah.
But Jeff said on the podcast, he's like, we would never tell them not to climb on the cliff.
I'm happy he's okay, but boy, was that scary. The amount of times that I like gasped yesterday was like insane, from the cuts on his hand to the shoulder pop to his foot getting injured. That was like wild. I definitely think we're in for a treat with this one. I'm interested. I'm interested to see more of the tribe dynamics. I'm interested for Caroline's story, and I hope she builds some connections. I'm interested to see if Claire is going to be this powerhouse, or if people are going to view her as a threat really early on. I'm interested to see Brandon's comeback and see how he's going to like go back after this tribal and like reintegrate himself. I think that we have a lot of great people. A really lot of great people. I'm interested. I'm ready for Danny's story. I'm ready for Danny to like boom, like make his appearance and come. Oh, also the immunity idol, the sword and the shield.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. I saw you commented on it. Yeah, you love it, right?
Oh my god, that. And okay, my last note. What award are we giving to this doctor who was the star of the show?
Yeah, OT.
Incredible. He was on call. He got zero sleep, but like definitely very, very crazy first episode. And I think it's gonna be a fun season to watch. I'm interested to see where it goes.
Morriah, was that doctor out there with you all in Survivor 43, or is this somebody new?
I think he was. I feel really bad because I'm not sure.
Hey, you all didn't have that many injuries.
I didn't have that many injuries. I think it was him, but I'm not positive. So
yeah.
Look,
you're better off not knowing.
Yeah, right. Happy I didn't get.
We didn't see him once the whole season.
Scraped up. Yeah.
And after all those injuries that Carla had, we didn't see this guy once.
I was like,
Carla couldn't even walk.
Oh my god, I actually really wanted scars. Like I was like when I got voted off, I was like trying not to nurse my scars because I wanted like a Survivor battle wound, like
right, because it's cheaper than a tattoo, right?
Oh my god, right. Cheaper than a tattoo, but also I don't have any tats. I have a lot of great tattoo ideas, but I'm not a tat person. I don't think I'd ever get a tat. But if I did, oh my god, I have the coolest ideas. Like I would get 43. I would get this picture of me. I would get Baka somewhere. I would get it all. But no tats.
See, I'm not a tattoo guy, but I don't have any good tattoo ideas.
I have so many. I want like one with like a unicorn hopping over the rainbow. I want like a baby,
like a hurdle.
Exactly.
A baby alien.
I think it would be really cute.
Yeah.
Like a baby. I feel like big aliens, like
Yoda, like baby Yoda, like Grogu.
Yeah, but like like that. Like they look really cute. Like I think if it was a baby alien, it would be really, really cute. Definitely.
I know, but then they grow up to be adult aliens. Not as cute.
Then we got to get it covered up. Like some glow in the dark tattoos, a crown box or something. I don't know. This is probably why I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah. All right. Well, Morriah, this was so much fun to get to talk some Survivor with you.
Oh, it was so much fun. I hope we can do it again.
We were robbed of this in season 43.
It's ridiculous. Like it's just, you know what? But this was meant to be. This was a lot of fun. Still waiting for our pizza and coffee.
Yes.
Gotta definitely make that happen. And now Mambas.
Yes. What else do you watch, Morriah?
Let's see. So Michael makes fun of me because I am like the type of person that rewatches the same thing over and over.
Okay.
And over
what do you
again.
rewatch?
Lord of the Rings. Like I'm.
Okay.
I watch Lord of the Rings twice a year. Twice
a year, every 6 months.
I make it like a tradition. So like
the trilogy, or you're doing
the trilogy. The trilogy twice a year. So we watch the first one the day before Christmas, Two Towers the day of Christmas, and the Return of the King the day after Christmas. And then I'm starting a tradition, and I can't wait till my kids are born one day so that I can do this with them. But starting the first one at midnight, seeing who stays up the longest. Everyone has to put money in the pot, and the last person awake gets to take all the money.
Okay. Is there a date for that?
To like start it New Year's.
Well, you're gonna do that on Christmas and then again on New Year's, so twice in the same week.
Yes. Oh, we've already do it twice in a week. The only thing that we don't do is the money in the pot yet. I need more people. So like,
you probably have a leg up on the babies to start. I think that'll be a real like passing of the torch when the
giving your allowance money back to me.
Are old enough to beat you at that.
Yeah, that would probably make me like a really horrible
also parent. I think it's probably a little intense for very little kids, right?
You're absolutely right. I'm also a sucker for messy love shows. Like I just like I'm finishing a perfect match. I think I have 2 more episodes left. I think I'm a sucker for messy love shows because I'm like the least messy person in real life. So like I live off of it vicariously through the television screen.
Well, Morriah, let me just ask you, because I think that, there's all these we live in a world where between the challenge and traders and like all these other things, like, so are you interested in non-Survivor reality TV appearances?
Absolutely. Like
would you do the challenge?
I would do that. I'm afraid to do the challenge, but I would do it if they reached out.
Yeah.
I don't. It just seems so much more aggressive. Like like when I hear the challenge, it makes me like I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Sarah also kind of scared me in the last.
Yeah, with that that was scary.
Very brawl wall. Yeah, but I would do it. I would definitely do it, but afraid to do it.
You gotta face your fears. Yeah.
I would love to do traders. Oh my God, waking up in the house and getting able to choose my outfit every morning and then eat this little fancy breakfast and seeing Alan.
Would you be a trader?
I wouldn't want to be, but if they chose me, obviously I would be the best trader I could be, but
nobody would ever suspect you, Morriah.
I feel like people would, because I feel like people would accidentally suspect me. I feel like I would be a faithful and people would think I was a trader, but I would definitely do traders, but I don't think we're allowed to. I think you have to be like either recruited or I think you have to be, I don't know, live in the UK or something. But if they reached out, I would do it.
What about Suri and Stephanie?
But I thought they were like recruited. Like
by who? By Alan Cumming? And he tapped on their shoulder?
He DM'd them.
Yeah. DM them? Slid into their DMs? Recruited them?
I would do the circle. I would most definitely do this. So
you'd be great at the circle.
Right. And I'm literally on social media all the time. I literally have 3 Instagrams, a TikTok.
Your Zoom room looks like you're on the circle.
Exactly. So I would do traders. I would do the challenge. I would do the circle. What else would I do? I would do any dating shows,
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're happily engaged. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I would cross over.
All right. And Morriah, where can people keep up with you?
You can keep up with me at Rainbow Queen on Instagram, and you can keep up with me on Rainbow Queen on TikTok, Morriah Young on Twitter, and my small business, Rainbow Room. You can go to www.rainbowroom.com. I spell rainbow, REIGNBOW, because I reign over my life and I'm royalty. So make sure it's not the RAIN one. So, yeah.
Got it. Well, Morriah, this was so much fun, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Hope we can do it again sometime. For everybody else, we're going to keep talking Survivor this week. On Monday night, I'm going to have the Survivor Feedback Show live with Chappelle. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern. So join us live for that and send us your questions all weekend long. Rob has a website.com/Survivor questions for that. Thank you so much for joining us. Love to hear what you think in the comments. Positive vibes only.
Positive vibes
you people?
Only.
Yes. All right.
If you leave an emoji.
Yes. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.